Another real threat. Joining us to discuss, Craig Shirley. He's a Reagan biographer, New York Times bestselling author, historian, and author of this book on your screen, December 1941. Also joining us, Doug Weed, former advisor to President George H.W. Bush, presidential historian, and author of the book Inside Trump's White House. Guys, great to see you here, both historians and authors. Thank you so much. It's always good to hear from you when it comes to a nice history lesson. As we know, present day, we hear from Republicans really warning against the dangers of America adopting some socialist policies. Craig, start us off, maybe describe the differences between socialism and fascism as well. Again, take us way back to the basics so we all know what we're talking about.
Sure, Emma, thank you. The American Republic was based on anti-power. It is the first government document which says what government cannot do. It doesn't empower government, it dispowers government. It says, you will not take my guns away, you will not take my speech away, you will not put me in jail without due process, all those things. Fascism tears up the Constitution. But in America, it is impossible, if you're a true American conservative, to have conservative fascism. You can only have liberal fascism in America, just as you can have only liberal, obviously liberal socialism. What socialism is essentially, the textbook definition is the state controls the means of distribution and consumption. And that's what we have in America today, a blended economy, but leaning towards socialism, especially under the Biden administration. The state controls the means of production and distribution. Fascism is more dictatorial, use more terror tactics, which is also blended in the American economy. Let's face it, Antifa and BLM are the militant arms of the Democratic Party and are used militarily or as kind of a out-left tool to get what they want, to terrorize people. So essentially that's there are distinctions with a difference, but they're both left-wing ideologies, and they're both being employed against the American people today.
And yet, Doug, you hear from Antifa, they're calling themselves anti-fascist. So how does that square?
Yeah,
They're lying.
I agree with Craig's analysis. The thing that's eerie, Emma, the comparison between fascism in Nazi Germany and what we're experiencing today in America. That's what's troubling to me. In Nazi Germany, they had to have a target as opposed to fascism in Italy. And their target was the Jews. And they attacked the Jews. They used fake science. They taught in the school to the little children. They took control of motion pictures. They took control of pornography, Der Sternum and others. You see today the President of the United States saying the greatest threat to America is white supremacy. I mean, it sounds ridiculous. How many died because of white supremacy last night or the night before, the night before that? Yet it's being taught in the schools. It's predominant in the motion pictures. There's fake science producing it. It's really a scary thing to see that it seems that the Democrats, like the Nazis in the 30s, they need a target. They need someone to attack.
And just to clarify, because I know we've seen comparisons to present day and to the Holocaust as well, and I always kind of cringe when I hear those comparisons, because it's
Sure.
just not
Yes.
fair to compare what
That's
happened
right.
during the Holocaust to anything we're seeing present day. Craig, are there some signs that we could be going sort of back in time, though, some bad things to come? I don't want to have such a negative view of the future here.
In 1927 Germany, they also said, well, it would be impossible for this nation to kill, 6 million people, or actually 10 million people, to kill homosexuals, to kill political opponents, to kill Poles, to kill Jews. It would be impossible to do it, and that is exactly what happened. Of course, we haven't even touched on the issue of abortion and how that's a Holocaust in America today. But, anti-Semitism is rearing its ugly head in America today. It's creeping into political statements. It's creeping into college campuses. Just look at Ben and Jerry's and their anti-Semitic actions targeting Israel and not selling their product in Israel anymore, and choosing the Palestinians. So don't say it can't happen in this country. Anything can happen.
Want to talk to you about something that did happen. President Biden, traveled to Pennsylvania this past week. I know both of you have covered presidents throughout the years. He was greeted by a crowd of protesters, a handful of supporters as well. I think we've got the video, if we can show our viewers along with you too. Again, you've got some folks who are cheering and welcoming and taking photos of the president and his motorcade, but then also you've got a lot of Trump supporters who are showing up as well. Doug Weed, talk to me about this reception. Again, I believe this is a county in Pennsylvania that the president won pretty handily, and yet based on the crowd and the lukewarm reception, you might not have guessed it.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It's puzzling still. You remember when Obama won re-election, you had congressmen in the Democratic Party saying that the Democrats would never lose another election. They had this foolproof system in place with social media, and you have Biden even today. He said this year that when asked about the Republican Party in 2024, said, will the Republican Party exist in 2024? So you have this conundrum and this contradiction. I want to backtrack again because I don't want any misunderstanding about what I had said. I referred to Germany in the 1930s before the anti-Semitism raised its ugly head. And I'm reminded of Tolkien's books. Gandalf, one of his characters, makes the statement, says, we are often blind to evil, but make no mistake, evil is not blind to us. And that's why I fear these eerie similarities between what happened in the 30s with fascism in Germany. There was still time for Jews to get out. Many of them, most of them didn't. Some did. In America, we have nowhere to go. We're the last hope. So we've got to make sure that freedom of speech, that our Constitution prevails. And it's scary.
Okay, we got to leave it at that. Always great to hear from you both. Craig Shirley, Doug Weed joining us on the program. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Emma.
You're
Have a good weekend.
You too. All right, for an update on some stories making news right now, let's go to Amanda Brilhanti. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, Emma. Here's what we're following right now.